I'm Ann Turner, and my parents moved to Lake Coleridge in 1943 from Dunedin. My father worked at the power station as a station fitter and then an operator the time that they were up here. And my mother had the post office over, I think, 3 spells. She'd opt out, and then the postmistress would move on and they talked her to going back. And they were very much involved in the community. My father was involved with the school committee and the cow club, and my mother played golf and table tennis, so they made the most. And as Dad was an engineer, many of the station holders required repairs and things, so we used to go and stay at many of the stations. We used to go to Algidus quite a lot, and Mona and Ron used to stay at our place, Mona and Ron Anderson. So we really had a huge environment that we were involved in. It was wonderful. We had a great deal of fun. I mean, I remember especially our father, but our mother too, would explain about all the dangers. That we could walk all around the power station. We used to go up on the roof with our father. We used to walk around the back on our own. We ran down the pipes and walked all around the surge chamber. We were always told about the dangers, but somehow or other no one got into trouble. Probably luck. Mr. Hart, who was the superintendent, he was a very special man. I think he was very intelligent. And before the Second World War, he went to America, I think it was, or Canada, to look at power schemes. As children, we used to get days off school, and he would take perhaps 10 of us on trips, and we used to go to the Akron diversion where the Akron water comes into the lake, and he would check things there. We used to go up into the mountains with him. We climbed most of the mountains, and he taught us a lot about safety and flora and fauna, and he was a wonderful man.
How long was he here for?
Oh, he was here for many, many years, well before we ever came. And Mrs. Hart was a very gracious lady, and she took Sunday school, and they had one son, Adrian, and he was at secondary school when we came. I think the village has changed completely because it was a real little hive of community. I mean, there were so many clubs to go to. You could go out every night and be involved in some activity in the daytime. Also, there was a great community, like they had a hospital club here in the early days, because if there was anyone injured at the power station, there was somebody trained with first aid equipment, and everybody could actually buy their goods. I think it was from a place called Stevens they got everything, and so we had access to that. Everybody helped everybody knew everyone. You didn't lock your doors, and if not many people had cars, so people walked, and if you did need any help, the people who owned cars would take you to the nearest doctor. So medical help was Darfield or Methven, and then probably in the early 50s, a doctor married one of the local farmers, Dr. Betty she was called, Dr. Betty McCready, and she had, their living room sort of became her surgery, and she was a very brave woman. She would get on horses, and she actually rode horses across to Algidus in the floods that the men would never go, the doctors. So, and she was a great lady. The weather was a predictor. I mean, the winters were very, very cold, and we were lucky because we always had heat and as much electricity as we wanted, but we all had open fires too. And firewood was free as long as you went and collected it and stored it in your home. Frosts and snow was very much part of our lives, and we all had appropriate shoes. And my friend and I were just talking before that we used to go to Lake Ida skating as children, and one of our pastimes we all had to knit gloves, and all the fingers and that, and that was a big part. It was a really freedom life, and we generally had interesting school teachers. Some of them let us go pretty wild. But we had 2 women who were particularly good, Miss McLeod and then a Miss Loudon, who came from Dunedin. And she actually married one of the Murchisons. I think he was I think he might have been a wall classer, and he'd been quite a mature man, and she was a very smart lady and had very high principles, and no one could believe when they got married.
Of the making of.
Yes. Oh yes, we all said she would rule his roost, but I think in their latter years, he actually ruled her roost. Yes, so no, they were great. And, a lot of our friends and contemporaries, I still have contact, because my parents' generation is no one living, but yes, they became lifelong friends, the children that went to school with us, and we still have contact. Mm.